Hey everybody, this is Kirsten here. Thank you so much for joining me on this new episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. What are we going to talk about today? Well, today we're going to talk about the fact that fat loss and weight loss are uncomfortable. They are not always super easy. So if you have these goals, you better strap in because it's going to take some time and effort. And there are going to be some times when you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. So this is what we're going to talk about today. However, before that, I wanted to tell you a little bit about a certain diet that I've heard about lately. And this is a big red flag for me. So, this diet, and I don't even know if it has a name or if somebody came up with what the deal is, but it was described to me as a hormone rebalancing or hormone balancing diet. And the key thing in this diet was that the carbohydrates have to be less than 25 grams per day. Yeah, you heard it right. Less than 25 grams a day for a woman so that she can balance her hormones. So to me, it sounds like a really great way into a terrible hormonal mess. If you're not eating carbohydrates or if you're limiting them that severely to only 25 grams per day. And I know there are so many popular diets out there right now that promote this. Don't eat any carbs because that's going to help you lose weight and help you lose fat. But are we also looking at what are the long-term results of eating this way? Even if at first you lose quickly weight because your water weight goes down, because your carbohydrates are down. So of course you're going to lose some water. And of course, probably your overall calories are down too suddenly, right? Of course, you're going to lose some weight at first, but this is not going to last. So carbohydrates are a very important source of energy for you. And also, especially if you are physically active, you do need carbs. Carbs fuel your workouts. Carbs help you to recover after your workouts. If you want to get that cool looking muscle definition and pump after the workout that a lot of us like to see, you need carbohydrates. You cannot do it without carbohydrates. Carbs fuel your brain. Carbs are really extremely helpful for your adrenals. So if you're already struggling with symptoms like high cortisol, your adrenals are really working hard to make that cortisol, you got already getting signs like increased belly fat, you have this like jitteriness, you kind of have anxious thoughts, anxiety, you never feel calm, you have some blood sugar irregularities. Then going low carb and telling somebody that this is going to balance your hormones is just a bunch of BS. Sorry, but you just cannot do this to yourself. This is really a really quick way to a hormonal imbalance. And I'm assuming that you are starting to do this already because you are noticing some issues with your hormones. You may have some cycle issues, or you may have some fatigue, or you may have some hair loss. Maybe you are just extremely stressed. Maybe you are overtrained. Maybe you're putting so much pressure on yourself. And now, if you cut your carbohydrates to pretty much a place where they're non existent, do you really think it's going to make anything better? And like I said, you may experience temporarily, like short term, so to speak, results, right? But they are not going to last. It's only going to get worse and worse. And especially if you are an active person, and I know that you probably are because you are listening to this, you are either, lifting weights or you are running, or maybe you're doing both, or even if you're just walking a lot, you still need carbohydrates. So I absolutely do not recommend this to you. And there's so many people who have done this. They start, they feel like, oh, this is awesome, this works. But then they come back, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months later, like I feel like I'm a walking dead person, right? There's no energy in me. And I don't know why this is the case. Well, this is because you have eliminated one of the most important macronutrients. I mean, obviously, they're all important, but you have eliminated one macronutrient, period. And this is why you are getting these signs and symptoms that you are getting. And I've even, in addition to this quote unquote hormone healing diet that has you eat like 25 grams of carbs a day, yes, it's dangerous. It's bad for you if you do it for for weeks or months. But what is also bad for you is even just having a couple of days when these carbs are so low. So if you're an active person, what is the reason for you to have 3 days a week where you're eating almost no carbs? Why are we doing this? Can you explain this to me? Because I don't really know how it's benefiting you. If you're having a low carb day and then you do a really intense workout, high intensity workout, or you're doing your heaviest lifting day for the week, you're really getting after it and you're hitting your legs really hard and you're just, doing all the squats and leg presses and maybe hip thrusts and lunges, you're doing that. This is your most intense workout day, and you're doing this on minimal carbohydrates. Good luck recovering. Good luck building muscle. Because if you have listened to my podcast number 196, you know that fasting and depriving yourself from carbohydrates is not beneficial for your muscle gain. And that's why you may have noticed that, even though what started out so well, you lost some body fat, or so you thought, now the body fat starts coming back on, especially around your midsection. And you're also noticing that the muscle gains really aren't there because you are not fueling yourself with carbohydrates. So really be aware of all that and be mindful when you sign up for something that promises, great like hormone healing results, and then you look at the diet and it's really minimal in carbohydrates, then this is a red flag. And I'm not telling you that, you should excessively eat tons of carbohydrates. This is not what I'm talking about at all. I'm not talking about eating like, mountains of like ice cream and cookies and crackers every day. No, 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 no. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about normal, healthy carbohydrates, such as root vegetables, potatoes, all vegetables, rice, oats, bread. Yeah, they're totally allowed to you. Sometimes people ask me, when you say carbs are okay, do you really mean that rice and bread are okay too? And of course they are okay. What's wrong with them, right? So totally, you can have them, you should have them, and notice how you feel when you start reincorporating these foods. And if you have been very, very low carb for some time and you want to transition out of it, then it's not a good idea to jump right into, 200 carbs a day if you've only had 25 maybe. You need a little bit more gradual approach. Reach out if you need any help with that, but be more gradual about it and be accepting of the fact that, yes, you will have to temporarily put on some weight and your body water mass is going to increase too, because you are adding carbohydrates back into your diet. But I got to tell you, I've had a couple of clients who have been very successfully, they've done this very, very successfully. I remember right now one client who was on keto and she said it didn't work for me anymore. It wasn't sustainable. And then very successfully, we got out of her from that keto way of eating. And now she's eating about 180 grams of carbohydrates every single day. No issues at all. Energy is so much better. Periods are so much better. Hair loss has completely stopped. Skin health is so much better. Energy is really, really good. So just be really, really aware of any of that stuff that people try to feed you. Taking away your carbohydrates is not the solution to your hormonal imbalances. It's probably going to make things even worse. Okay, let's move on to our today's topic, which is fat loss is not easy, right? It's going to take some time and effort. And I want to talk about it because I feel like sometimes we may have this idea that, yeah, it maybe takes a little bit of effort, but it's not that, it's not that much. I don't have to really do much other than maybe like make one or two tweaks or just watch a little bit more. And yeah, you have to make some tweaks and you have to watch a little bit more that you're eating, but also it's going to take probably more effort than what you thought. So first of all, I want to remind you that accept the fact that it's going to take some time, right? If anything promises you a really quick fat loss and weight loss, it's not going to work. It may work. Weight loss may work, yeah, you may get it in a couple of weeks and be all happy and excited. But first of all, if you lose a ton of weight in 2 weeks, this is usually not fat loss. And I thought that your goal is fat loss, wasn't it? So why would you care just about losing a little bit of body, like water weight? This is really not what we are looking for right now. So accept the fact that it's going to take some time and it's going to take some effort. You have to put in some time and effort if you want to be good at this and also maintain your results. Now, the second reminder, and this is a really, really important one, and I can't stress this enough, that it is different from your intuitive eating. So you know that I use macro tracking as a way to get people results, fat loss, weight loss results. And it is going to be different from your intuitive eating, because if intuitive eating worked for you, you would not have this problem right now. Because sometimes I see people saying like, oh, it's harder. I don't want to eat that much protein, but I don't want to give this thing up, or I don't want to change my eating, from 1 meal a day to 3 meals a day. I don't want to do this because it doesn't feel intuitive. Well, if intuitive worked for you, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be, you wouldn't want to lose any weight because you would already have your perfect body composition that you love, right? So it's going to require some changes. So what are some of the common changes that you need to make? Well, first of all, you are going to start tracking your food. This is how I work with my clients. I have done an episode in the past that is about how to start losing weight and fat if you don't want to track anything. So you can definitely check out this episode as well. But generally speaking, if you already are doing all the things that I'm talking about there, then you at some point want to start tracking your macros too. And yeah, it's going to be hard, putting everything in a food tracker. It's not insanely hard, but the starting will be hard, right? So the beginning, learning how to use the app and then weigh your food, yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but this is what will give you the result. What else is different from your intuitive eating? Well, like I said, some people are only used to eating 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, or they're used to skipping their breakfast and never have any dinner. Well, these things have to change as well, because you should be eating at least 3 meals a day. If you eat 5 or 6, that's fine too. But how are you going to get the protein in if you only eat twice a day? Right? It's really hard to do. And the protein requirement too, I would say most women, all women in my opinion, should be eating at least 100 grams of protein per day. And now I feel like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's not pleasant. Well, that's what it is, welcome. Welcome to this phase where you have to make some changes into your life and into your diet, because if you really want to get some muscle building result and make your fat loss much easier, you got to start eating that protein. I don't know how else you're going to do this, to be honest with you. And if you don't like it, then I don't know how you're gonna do this. Protein, it doesn't have to be like crazy high. You don't necessarily have to go to. Not everybody has to go to 1 pound, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I think you can get away with less than that too. But if we're talking about now that you cannot even get to 100 grams, then this is going to be a problem. So we have to get creative and find ways for you to get 100 grams of protein. And once you start doing it, you start noticing how you start getting results. Muscle definition will happen faster. You're going to feel less hungry. Your cravings are going to be way down. Your blood sugar is going to be way more stable, which of course has a positive impact on your mood. All of these good things. It's worth it. It's worth it. And so again, one more time, it's going to be different from your intuitive eating. So don't expect to eat the same way that you did and then get results. All right. The next reminder that I have for you is that be accurate with your tracking. All right. Here's an interesting thing. Sometimes people just plug things into their phone app, what they're eating, but they're not hitting the numbers. And that's not going to give you the result. So if you have a goal, and I'm just going to put out there like random numbers right now. Let's say your goal is to eat 100 grams of protein, 120 grams of protein and 170 grams of carbs and 80 grams of fats, right? I just gave you some numbers. And now you're way off, right? You're way over or you're way under, but all you did was you just typed in what you ate, but these numbers are not meeting your targets, then you're not going to get results. It's really that simple, right? So you have to be accurate with this. You have to get close to those numbers that are assigned to you. And this is how you get results. And this is why macro tracking works so well. It's really almost bulletproof. If you hit the numbers, it is not enough that you just put the foods in that you ate, but you're not hitting numbers. I mean, it's so obvious, right? But I feel like sometimes we still have to talk about it because sometimes I guess we don't get it, but it is an important thing to understand. All right, the next thing is that you need to make some sacrifices, you want it or not. So again, being in fat loss is not the same thing as being in maintenance, where you can get away with much more. You can get away with eating out more. You can get away with having like ice cream more often. Maybe you can have a couple of glasses of wine if you like that. You can do that. And if you have a good amount of muscle, you have put in years of resistance training, following a good program, then you're going to maintain your body weight and body fat percentage relatively easily. I mean, I don't talk about like if you eat like an asshole, not then, but if you are having, once or twice or, a couple of times a week, you have those little indulgences, you're going to be fine, absolutely fine. It's actually really amazing how you can maintain your body composition if you have a solid strength training background. I mean, this is so freaking awesome how the human body works this way and how the muscle works this way. You guys, it's incredibly important that you put in the time and effort and lift weights consistently all the time, at least 3 days a week, I would say. Maybe 2 days a week could be all right for some people, but I would say most people 3 days a week. When you do this at maintenance, you're going to be golden. No issues there, right? As long as you don't eat like a total asshole, like I said. But it's different in a deficit. It's definitely different in a calorie cut, right? Where you are eating less than you did before, because now you have to make more sacrifices. You cannot have that 3 glasses of wine a week. You cannot have that ice cream whenever you get a random idea that you're going to have it, because your macros are lower. You are in a calorie deficit, and these things likely don't fit, right? They don't fit all the time. Can you fit in a couple of desserts every week? Yeah, sure, absolutely you can. I have clients who eat chocolate every single day, just like myself, every single day. But this is a small amount, there, right? There are a lot of times maybe they would like to eat 5 squares of chocolate, but they're like, you know what? I can't. That's going to put me over my fat and carb numbers. So I'm going to have a 1 square or 2 squares. Then they may have an idea that, you know what? It would be really nice to have a glass of wine on Tuesday, and you get the same idea on Thursday, and then you get the same idea on Saturday. Like, wait a minute, but I have my goal. I guess I have to sacrifice here a little bit. What's important for me? Is the wine, or is it, getting to my fat loss goal that I wanted? Well, also you may have, friends who are telling you, let's go out, let's go have dinner for 5 days a week, and you have to tell yourself that, hey, okay, I'm gonna eat home because I have my goal. I'm gonna go out once a week, but I'm not gonna go out and eat 7 days a week. It's just not gonna work that way. So you have to be willing to make some sacrifices, because this is literally the only way it works. If you always allow yourself to do these things that you just get a random idea, like, oh, I want to do this and eat there and eat that ice cream and have that wine, then it's not going to work, because your calories are going to go over. You're not going to meet your numbers, and you're not going to get the results that you wanted. All right, the next point is that it should not be miserable. So, of course, I've been talking a lot about, in this today's episode, why you have to make sacrifices, how it's going to be uncomfortable sometimes, how there are many times when you feel like having, more, or having extra dessert, or even eating a bigger portion, but you have to tell yourself that, no, I have a goal right now. I'm not going to do this. But at the same time, it shouldn't be miserable. So now, if you are eating in a way that makes you absolutely crazy, drives you nuts, gives you migraines, you're hungry, you're dreaming about food, you're feeling miserable, you're feeling weak, you're getting signs and symptoms that your body is protesting. So if this is the case, that's miserable. Or if you're putting yourself like under 1,000 calories and you're starving, and you're, drinking gallons of water and messing up your body's mineral levels and all that there's so many bad things that can happen from like severe restriction. This is miserable, and you shouldn't be living this way. I've heard people telling me that when they had a couple of days a week where their carbs are super low, they're already dreading those days, the day before, like, holy shit, I can't believe this. Like, I have to do this tomorrow, and I already get anxiety the day before. So this is what I call miserable. Now, it should not be miserable, right? Calorie deficit is usually a mild deficit where you will feel hunger. Yeah, you probably will feel hunger. If you don't feel any hunger at all, this is a bit strange. So it's normal to have a little bit of hunger, but it should not feel miserable, right? And at the same time, coming back full circle to my original point, don't expect it to be a total breeze either, right? There's a difference between miserable and, oh my God, I'm going to die, versus, yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm strong enough, I can do this, and I will get the result that I want, because you know what, I really want it. This is my goal right now. And it's really great to see that, those people who are accurate with the tracking and they have their goal, they stick with it, right? It is hard. It's many times it is difficult, but they do it anyway. So for example, I've had people tell me, we just had Thanksgiving, that yes, I had what I wanted at Thanksgiving, and this is what I told all my clients: have what you want, enjoy yourself, don't think about the tracking or macros or calories, enjoy yourself. But then the next day we go back to what your plan was, what your macros were. And they told me, I was kind of tempted the next day to eat all the leftovers. It was so delicious. There's so many, there's pies and stuffing still in the fridge that I wanted, but I also have my goal. And that's literally the mindset that you want to have if you're in a deficit. And again, it's so different when you're at maintenance, right? Then you're just like, yeah, you know what? Next day I'm gonna have more, and that's fine. And not a big deal, because I'm also, working out and moving my body, and then it's only 2 days, whatever, right? Cool, fine, totally, whatever. But then it's different in deficit. You have to be more dialed in. You have to be more conscious of the ways that you're eating. You have to be willing to say no more often, and you just have to stick with your goal and frequently remind yourself of your goal. what is it that you want to get out of it? What is the reason that you're doing this? And that will keep you going. So I don't want this to be like extremely restrictive for you. This is not the way to go about it, but it also should be like completely relaxed and no rules ever. This is not how you lose body weight and body fat, because if this was the case, you would be already losing. You would already have the body weight and body fat percentage and body composition that you want. So I hope this helped you today understand that fat loss is not easy. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. It's not the same thing as intuitive eating. At the same time, it should not be a completely miserable time either for you. So I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode. If you are in a fat loss phase, then it's probably helpful for you. I really hope so. And let me know if you have any questions. And thank you so much for watching and listening. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.